I worked at 17th Door this year. I played the teacher. If anybody saw the 17th Door, where's my piggies? Here's my piggies. I was at the 17th Door last year. I played the teacher, and I was because I was in the first room when the show ended for me. It still had another 45 minutes till everyone got through, and I quick put on some of my haunting gear, and I ran around, and I was able to catch the tail end and actually got to haunt at the end of it. So that was really fun. I got to do both acting and haunting.
So awesome. That's you in Delusion.
That's me in Delusion. I played the key lady, if anybody saw that. Anybody?
Does anyone remember the key lady in Delusion?
It's unforgettable. Yes, unforgettable.
There was a bathing scene involved. There
was some blackout was, you can touch the guests, you can do what you want to the guests. You don't care. Which was nice. Took me again out of my element, found some darker spots for me to haunt from, gave me a different way of looking at my haunting. It was really a great experience.
And that's what's so incredible about Char. She's done all of it. I mean, there's people who've done some of it, but she's done everything from haunted hayrides to, weren't you in the original Shadow Cast of Rocky Horror Picture Show?
I was.
She was in the original Shadow Cast of Rocky Horror Picture Show.
That was a long time ago. Yeah, Rocky. Yeah.
The chain sword.
Well, you don't get to put a chain on the chainsaw when you don't use it, so I just figured I'd make it more dangerous by sharpening it. Because when you're hitting somebody with a sword, you really want to have that loud vibration to really pay it to them. And we set that up with a spark gag so that when he ran it across, it exploded with shards of metal. It's a pretty fun gag. It was pretty good.
And it's a really great gag for a home hunt to have a prop like this. I mean, Donald has an incredible background. Can you tell me about a couple of things he did props for?
I made most of the weapons for Van Helsing. I worked at Minority Report. I made all the jetpacks, the helmets, the identiscans, all that stuff. I've forgotten how many movies I worked on after a decade. Unfortunately, my mother's house, I don't own enough property to have a proper haunt, so she lets me invade it, and we pretty much destroy it every year. Have to rebuild.
What's incredible is, you can see in this picture, there's a tent across the way. His neighbor has like their own haunt. So there's two amazing haunts, and there's also a scare zone in the middle. McKamey Manor is, and has been for years now, a home haunt. And you put this on with people screaming and yelling in a little neighborhood. How have you been getting away with doing it for so long in that neighborhood?
It's actually a silent haunt now. There's no sound. You wear a helmet. You have a radio inside your helmet, so we're talking to you via radios. I always call the police ahead of time, let them know that we're going to do a show, because the hostage scenario, if you've ever seen us pick somebody up, it can look pretty realistic. And just last week, I had a detective at my house for 4 hours, and I had to show them all of my footage because somebody said that we were doing horrible things. And so what I do to protect myself, and I go way overboard, as most of you know, there's a huge requirement list to get in, screening and medical letters, and psych letters, and background checks. And I also film every single moment of a person's, meeting with McKamey Manor, from interviews to calling the police, everything. So all I had to do was show them this massive 30-page waiver and show them all the footage, and they go, no problem, you're fine.
As you all know, extreme haunts have safe words. You call it, you can get out, and it's over. But McKamey Manor doesn't have a safe word. I don't even know how many times I've asked you this, but why don't you have a safe word?
Because we're McKamey Manor, because we're different, and it's safe. We have the safest track record, I'd say, of almost any haunt out there, because when you go through it, it's just you or somebody else, so max of 2, and we have all these actors surrounding you and making sure you're okay. So it's like we're babying you. And
what was so funny is I had to wear a suit because there's throwing up, there's peeing, there's water splashing around, hitting things. The smell in McKamey Manor alone is probably the most horrific thing. Like, that's the thing that gets me, is that you don't know how scary it is until you're actually in there. I told Russ before, you do not need to have someone jump out. You don't need somebody to grab anybody. you can just have someone walk around. It's so creepy. That's the truth. Like, the truth is, I would have nightmares after I filmed there, and it wasn't like an embellishment. It was just what I remembered. You know, when I heard it, when I saw it, the smells too that they put in that attraction. It's really, I don't know. I felt like I have a little PTSD-ish. Have you ever gone through your haunt before?
I've tried all of the stunts, but I have not actually gone through it as a contestant, and because it really is a young man's game, and I'm 98 years old, so I'm not going to go through it.
He's 98.
But these folks understand it's just an illusion, it's a play, but it's a hoot. It's a hoot, and I welcome you to give it a shot.
Could you ever work at a haunt that didn't have a safe word?
I worked at 2 extreme haunts. I guess 17th Door is extreme haunt, has a waiver and blackout, and both of them had safe words. And no, I wouldn't work at a haunt without a safe word.
Because there's
a line. I mean, and sometimes what I think the line is not what the other person thinks the line is. I'm not going to make that call. They know what the line is.
I'm actually worried about the extreme haunts only because I think they're going to punish us all. I think that eventually Russ will probably kill someone, and they will probably enforce more permits or regulations or other things. Like, you know, we go through hell just to appease fire marshals and code because a bunch of people died in a fire in 1986, I believe, because of haunts. So they want to make sure that that's never going to happen again. So you have to be able to afford it. You have to be able to afford to abide by those rules. And eventually it's going to come down to us all. We're all going to get banned because they're not really tolerant for this kind of stuff anymore. It's going to become too extreme. And you are the most extreme. But I just think you found a legal way to torture people. It's like it's like Big Brother time as far as I'm concerned. I totally did.
This is a good example of someone that doesn't understand, and it's hard to say the word torture, Big Brother, and these kind of comments without actually going through it. Again, it's smoke and mirrors. It's so much more than you possibly know.
Smoke and mirrors is not a 30-page waiver.
Sure it is.
No, that's your protection because you're a sociopath and want to watch people get tortured.
Hold on. Okay, hold
So
on.
this is the guy right here that would be what I would consider a LIC, a low information crowd individual about what the manor is, because you don't know.
Here, let's switch these for a second.
You have no
Let's switch
idea
these.
what I'm all about. None.
I've seen a lot of footage.
Footage, you know what, my friend? That's my footage that I'm editing to spin you around. Because I'm the little puppet master, because obviously if you really think that, if you think that, then it happened exactly how I wanted it to happen. Those movies I make to get you upset. I make them look scary on purpose.
I don't care.
Okay.
I'm not upset by any of it. I just don't want my haunt closed down because you killed somebody.
Okay, that's
Has anybody had a heart attack in your maze?
I'll tell you what, I've been doing this for 16 years. We never had one injury, not one. 16 years, not one. Have you had an injury? Did anybody falling, anything? Have you had any lawsuits in 16 years?
No.
So I remember when Christina came from Kuwait, from Iraq. She flew 19 hours to go, and then she came back. Twice, then she came back. So look, I definitely know that there is an audience for this. Look, it's when you make something this controversial though, Russ, you know you're making this because you're doing something where you're going to get people who will travel around the world.
I'm going to get folks who don't understand, because what I'm making is really quite magical. And for the people who don't get it, like Donald here, an LIC individual, again, low information crowd, that's because he hasn't been through it. I invite you to come through it, my friend.
Oh no, don't invite Donald to go through it. Don't invite Donald to go through it.
If you're man enough to go through it, make it happen.
Please don't do that.
Find out.
I'll tell you what, I'll do it with you.
Find out. No. You know what?
I'm not a man then, you're not a
I know
man.
you're not. I know you're not. But you're talking about stuff you have no clue about. None. Have you been through it? Have you seen it in action?
I just
Have
said
you
I'll
been
go through
behind
it.
the scenes?
Okay, I'm throwing a yellow flag down for a second. He put out a really interesting invitation. He'll go through it with you. Would you go through
It's not meant for a person who's 59 years old. It's not. It's smoke and mirrors. Don't believe everything you see. It's really actually a piece of cake, and I strongly encourage almost everybody in here to go. And it's just, there's several folks here. Ray, who's gone through it before? So should these folks go? Well, I tried.